Is anyone else getting deja vu? Like every couple years, every 2 years or whatever, we'll get a new like asymmetrical horror game and everyone says the same thing. They're like, oh, this is gonna dethrone Dead by Daylight. Oh, this is gonna be the next Friday the 13th game. And then it's good for like a week, everyone plays it, and then it's like eventually, like usually the survivor side, they just like ruin the whole thing. Before we go on this whole like this is gonna be the next big asymmetrical game, we're all gonna have so much fun, let's just take a little history lesson real quick, and then we're gonna talk about why this game is probably gonna fail or why it could actually work. Because listen, there's one way that I see this game actually becoming something great. I don't think so, but let's just take a little history lesson. So let's take a look back to June 4th, 2024. Now, what does this date have to do with anything? This seems like a random date. Well, this is actually the birthplace of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. And this game looks eerily similar to Halloween the game. Like, I'm gonna put up footage right now of gameplay from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I'm gonna put it next to Halloween game.
Ooh, I'll save this for later. What's with the big goo?
Like, it looks the exact same. The mechanics look the same. The way you harm the killer is the same. So it's like, what makes this game different? Because Killer Clowns from Outer Space is forgotten, it's dead, and it never really took off past that initial like launch fresh game feeling. You have to ask yourself, why did Killer Clowns from Outer Space die? Because if we figure that out, then we can maybe see why maybe Halloween might have a better chance or has the same shot. And really, when it comes down to it, it's just because the asymmetrical like genre just kind of sucks. I'm not even gonna lie, I love like asymmetrical horror. I've been in the community for forever, since Friday the 13th the game. I've loved it forever. I played Fleet and Facility, I mean, like way back in the day. So it's like asymmetrical games, like when they work and they're great. But it's like we've almost put ourselves in like this box where it's like it needs to be the next Friday the 13th. It needs to be the next Dead by Daylight. And like when you have all these games like Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Texas Chainsaw and Evil Dead that are all trying to like capture that magic that Friday the 13th had and that Dead by Daylight at one point had, but it's just like it's not possible anymore. It's just not. The community is at a point where it's like all fun is just like thrown out of the window. Like, what made Friday the 13th so good? What is the point that everyone's always like talking about? And it's always about like the memories, like, oh, it was so fun, remember like when we would hit the killer and dance, and then when like we would all have fun. But the thing is like it just doesn't, the community is just not like that anymore. And honestly, it's the Dead by Daylight players' fault. What happened with Texas Chainsaw the game? I remember waiting so long for that game to drop. I don't think I've ever been more hyped for a release since that game. That game had me so hyped. It dropped, it was amazing. It was genuinely one of the most scary games I've ever played. And then what happened? Over the course of a couple months, the game just died out. Because why? It wasn't fun. If you got on Family, you would just get destroyed by a Leland. And if you got on Survivor, if you were trying to play the game ethically, like I'm talking like actually like letting the killers do their job, then honestly you're just like handicapping yourself because everyone else is doing it. Your teammates are all escaping in like 4 seconds. It got so bad that people did not want to play killer. The selling point of the game, people didn't want to do it. Like, yeah, it's fun to play Survivor, but let's be real. If you try to play Dead by Daylight right now and try to queue in as killer, you're gonna have to sit there for 7 minutes waiting in queue. Back in Friday the 13th, if people didn't get Jason, they would just DC. Like, they would just not play the game. They would just switch servers. So it's like People want to play as killers, and if your game is so survivor sided and so unfun for the killer that it's like you literally like don't have people wanting to play killer, and that's why your community is going to die. That's why the game lasted a couple months, because in the beginning, when survivors don't know what they're doing, the game is fun because it feels new. It feels like it's not a competition. You're just trying to survive against a force you don't understand. And that's just not sustainable, because once survivors understand, okay, this is the most efficient way to escape, this is the most efficient way to stop the killer, then it gets unfun for the killer, because it's not supposed to be a power balance. Honestly, it's not supposed to be survivors versus killers. It's supposed to be killers hunting survivors. And once you give survivors too many tools to fight back against killers, the game just becomes immediately survivor-sided. Because when you break it down, what is asymmetrical horror supposed to be? It's supposed to be a player who's standing in for the enemy role and being the killer, and then everyone else is trying to escape. It's not supposed to be the killer is fighting against the survivors. Because what happens? Now you get almost like a juggernaut game mode. It becomes, now you have one player that's really strong against all these other weaker players, but the thing is all the other players don't have to fight you. Now what happens is they're trying to do an objective that you physically cannot stop them from doing because they're strong just like you. And I get it. It sounds like, oh, I'm just a killer main on all these other games and I'm just crying and I'm whining. It's a skill issue. But really, the genre will never ever work if we have this mentality of, oh, it's survivor sided, oh, it's killer sided, oh, it's this, it's that. This shouldn't be a competitive environment, because remember, it's asymmetrical horror. It's not really a game mode that's like one side versus the other. But the problem is like once that mystique wears off and once the scariness kind of wears off, that's what it is. Now all of a sudden it's one team trying to complete an objective and the other guy is trying to stop all of them. And once you start getting into that mindset, that's when you start to get your Dead by Daylight. That's when you start to get your Texas Chainsaw. That's when you start to get your Killer Clowns. It becomes one team against the other, and that's just not what people really sign up to play. Like, if I wanted to do that, I would go play Dead by Daylight. But that's also why Friday the 13th worked so well. I think, and here's my hot take, if Friday the 13th came out today, it would be just as bad as Texas Chainsaw, just as bad as Killer Clown, just as bad as Evil Dead. Because the game itself is relatively the same as all these other ones. What was the difference? Honestly, most of these games are mechanically better. So it's what is the difference? And it all boils down to the community. The community was just a bunch of people having fun on the game. Yeah, like you had your bully every once in a while, but like it was a party game. That's what it felt like. Every game felt like a little party. After Friday the 13th started dying out, because people like to pretend like, oh, it was just always like the reigning champ. Not really. Like, even before it shut down, it started dipping a lot. So now you've got all these players who want to play asymmetrical horror games but don't really want to play Friday the 13th anymore. So they're going over to Dead by Daylight, or they're just not going anywhere. And then the culture begins to change, because now you have a entire genre which is built around this one game, which is Dead by Daylight, and the culture starts to shift, because Dead by Daylight is really just a competitive game. It's like the horror is almost like an afterthought. It's not even really like, we have Kaneki and stuff in the game. It's like the horror's not really an even thought. And then it's also not a party game because there's no voice chat. The killer almost is never like interacting with the survivors in a way that's not just like see person, chase person, or gen pressure or whatever. Like, and I know that sounds weird, like, yeah, killer's supposed to just chase people. They're not supposed to be like best friends with the survivors. But in Friday the 13th, the game, the killer could literally talk to them, and they could do, like, they can stalk, they can grab, they can whatever. It's not just hit, loop, hit, hook. And so the culture starts to build around that. They start to build around, okay, this isn't a party game, this isn't a horror game, this is chase, and survivors are doing everything they can to piss off the killer, bully the killer, and escape. And so the asymmetrical horror community just shifted, where it's not the community that was around in like 2019, 2018 that was playing Friday the 13th the game. Now it's all these sweaty little Dead by Daylight nerds that go to every new asymmetrical horror game talking about, this is gonna be the next Friday the 13th, bro. I'm so sick of Dead by Daylight. And then they go into those games and they play them like they're Dead by Daylight. They treat Survivor like how they treat Survivor and Dead by Daylight. They don't treat it like it's an asymmetrical horror party game. No, they treat it like, I need to escape, I need to bully the killer. And that's what we saw. I literally saw it in the flesh happen in Texas Chainsaw the game. The like casual players played it and enjoyed it. And then the Dead by Daylight nerds moved over there and they started optimizing like everything, where everything needs to be like perfect and you need to have all these runs and you need to have all these perks to fight the killers and whatever. And then they started ruining it because now it's not just pallet stuns and vaulting. Now you can stab the killer, you can whatever, you can push them over. And so it's like, that's the problem when you have all these fighting horror games now, because it's like the culture's different. Friday the 13th, if it was around today, if it dropped today, it would be the same. The Dead by Daylight nerds would still come over there and still talk about this is the new game, and they would ruin it. They would beat the killer's ass constantly. So really, the only way that I see this Halloween game working is if the community appreciates what the game is, appreciates how they're going to keep it alive, and treats the game with respect. Because if they treat the game and they just abuse every mechanic, exploit it, then it's not going to be fun for anyone. The community has to look down upon on these sweaty nerds who just want to exploit everything and optimize everything. And if you're not trying to win, then why are you playing the game? That was never the focus for Friday the 13th, the game. So it's not up to the developers, really. Because the developers, what is their job? Their job is to give us a platform and optimize the platform to be the most fun. So it's up to us to use that platform in a way that keeps the game healthy. If we want, and I get it, let people play the way they want to play, bro. Yeah, but that whole like sweaty little like nerdy, I need to beat the killer up, I need to escape as quick as possible, it's gonna kill the game. That's why this game is never gonna work, because that's just not gonna happen. You're gonna get a bunch of nerds that are coming in here and they're gonna ruin the game. It's up to the casual fan base that doesn't want to deal with that bullshit, that wants to play Michael Myers lore accurate, that wants to play the game and have fun. It's up to them. It's up to us, the community, to make this game work. If we go in there, guns blazing, learning all the new strats, all the new techs as quick as possible, we're going to ruin the game. That's why it's going to be fun for a week and then it's going to be boring. Why is it fun for that first week? Because no one understands the techs. If you purposefully optimize everything to be as quick as possible, as perfect as possible, you will ruin the game. It's up to us, the community, to keep this game alive.